Everyone, my name is Shayan and I have my fellow classmate Keenan with me, and we both will be presenting you the topic, which is why do Chinese smartphone companies launch new brands. Let's get started. So our story begins and ends with Xiaomi. Yes, this company has single-handedly responsible for changing the Chinese smartphone market. It launched in 2011 and with a crazy online only business model that focused on cutting out the middlemen, not keeping any inventory, and selling phones with razor thin margins. Fun fact, Xiaomi only keeps 5% for its smartphones, and according to its MD, it do not have any big warehouses and neither do they keep even a week's inventory anywhere in the system. And to say it has been a successful model is an understatement. In the first quarter of 2019, mobile sales from MI.com accounted for 11% of total smartphones sold in India. And of course, they also sold their products on Amazon and Flipkart as well. This gave a headache to traditional phone makers like Oppo and Huawei, who were purely based off of offline retail. They often had to give their retail partners over 50% margins to sell their phones. Offline retail was expensive. They simply couldn't compete with Xiaomi's model, so to cut off Xiaomi's rise, they had to react. And they both came up with pretty much the same solution. Step 1, launch an online brand which replicates most of Xiaomi's business model and offers similarly low prices. After all, Xiaomi's model was innovative but not that exactly hard to copy. Step 2, double down on offline retail with Oppo and Huawei brands. After all, even with Xiaomi's success, the majority of people still bought their phones offline, even in China, the most e-commerce focused country in the world. The reason why online and offline retail had to be split into two brands was because they were such different businesses. It cost a lot more to sell on offline, so you need higher prices. But these high prices don't work well online with competitors like Xiaomi around. Hence, the need for two separate brands. The offline brand also got the premium features first, like how Vook Charge was first on Oppo phones 2 years before it arrived on OnePlus as Dash Charge, and now it's called Warp Charge on OnePlus. Or how Huawei phones got dual cameras in newest Kirin processors before the Honor models got them, and so on. The offline brands also received much more premium marketing to turn them into fashionable lifestyle brands, all of which combined was supposed to justify the higher price tags. In the meanwhile, the online brands had much more bare bones devices focused on having the best possible price to performance ratio. Buying online means better specs nearly always wins as direct comparisons were easy to make. And this plan worked. Xiaomi was suddenly threatened online and had nothing to fight back with offline. The meteoric rise of Xiaomi was not only stopped, the company's sales actually started shrinking. Both Oppo and Huawei overtook Xiaomi in China, and even Xiaomi's expansion abroad, especially in India and Brazil, started flattering too. Xiaomi had to do something. Now I will let Keenan continue with Xiaomi's response. Keenan, go ahead.
Thank you, Shayan. So as we saw, Oppo and Huawei shifted to online. So just like the offline guys figured out that they could go online, Xiaomi figured that they could just go offline as well. So they just needed to find a way to undercut the offline brands on prices significantly. Instead of having like a separate online and offline brand like Oppo and Huawei had, they decided to stick with just one at first. If you remember, we mentioned to you about the 5% profit cap put by Xiaomi on smartphones. So they sold their phones at cost or sometimes even at a loss, and then rely on making money through internet services or other methods. This meant that Oppo and Huawei, unlike Oppo and Huawei, Xiaomi could keep their offline phone prices relatively low without hurting their online sales model too much. And this sort of diversification really worked for Xiaomi, as they returned to the insane growth numbers that they had before the streak was broken. The Redmi range was particularly successful in the crucially important 10,000 to 20,000 rupees segment in India. And this segment was the largest smartphone market after China. So this was the most important segment for most smartphone companies, and that is why companies developed their best value devices for it. Like Xiaomi had the Redmi range, Oppo with their F series, Samsung's J series, and even Nokia with their 5.1 and 6.1. And so far, Xiaomi's aggressive pricing combined with their focus on both offline and online channels had made Redmi the biggest winner in it. The Redmi range was so successful that it was converted into a brand itself eventually, and so the pendulum swung back in Xiaomi's favor, and the competitors had to regain lost ground. And guess what the response is? Of course, another brand, or as DJ Khaled would say, another one. So in May 2018, Oppo came up with Realme, a direct response to Redmi. Even the name is supposed to be a parody of Redmi's name. And Oppo, who had lost significant market share in India due to Xiaomi's comeback, assigned Sky Lee, the former head of Oppo India, to win back this crucially important segment from Xiaomi. And many of Oppo's best people were moved over there, showing its importance to Oppo. Now it leaves us wondering, why not just have OnePlus launch a phone in this category, right? After all, they were meant to be the budget brand of Oppo. But OnePlus, as we know, isn't a budget smartphone anymore. They have slowly increased their prices from around the rupees 20,000 range to all the way over 40,000 now. So now they don't want to be seen as a ultra budget phone maker anymore. So OnePlus is now focused on creating a premium flagship for enthusiasts, while Realme can focus on beating Redmi. So this brings us to the final brand, and we promise that it's the final brand. Xiaomi realized that using the same brand for both offline and online channel was not working, and they decided to create Poco. This would be the ultra competitive online only brand for Xiaomi, and they wanted to seize the void left by OnePlus raising their prices. After all, OnePlus needed to make their profits from selling smartphones while Xiaomi didn't. It was clear that from the launch event that Poco would be competing directly against OnePlus and at a much cheaper price. So this all in all brings us back to the initial question that we had. So why do these Chinese phone companies launch so many new brands? So summarizing the situation, launching multiple brands gives the company the ability to target completely different users that wouldn't be available to them if they only had one brand. Just like, let's take the example of Oppo and OnePlus. The hardcore smartphone enthusiasts tend to make fun of Oppo's selfie campaigns, while people who love fashion and luxury would probably want to have something much more fancier than OnePlus. Having both lets Oppo reach to both groups, and it's not at all a new thing. We've seen it before in the consumer facing industries like cars and clothes as well. Like in the automobile industry, we see Toyota and Lexus, Honda and Acura, Nissan and Infiniti. In each example, one of them is marketed as a family or a budget car, while the other one is shown as a luxury or elite cars. Or in the fashion industry, the North Face and Vans and Lee, or Cartier and Chloe, or Omega and Tissot and Swatch in watches. So just like here, the North Face is mostly in like an outdoors hiking sort of brand. Vans is more to do with skateboarding and sort of like the pop clothing for people, and Lee is just a casual market for everything. So all in all, so it was to target completely different society part of the society, and this helps us to come to the end of our presentation, and we would be delighted to answer any questions if you guys have. Thank you.
Thank you guys for watching, and please subscribe. I'm planning to upload more videos when I'm free, obviously. So yeah, bye.